Well, good evening. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived, I will call to order this regular meeting of the Keene City Council. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and Spectrum Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you would like to receive an electronic City Council packet to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the City Clerk's office during business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kate M. Bosley.
Here.
Laura E. Tobin.
Here.
Michael J. Remy. Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Edward J. Haas.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Present.
Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chris E. Roberts.
Here.
Jacob R. Favalise.
Here.
Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne.
Here.
Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize, well, I guess we'll recognize that Councilor Remy has asked to be a participant remotely this evening. Councilor Remy, could you please state the reason for your request?
Yep, sorry, I'm traveling for work. I'm in a hotel lobby, and there are definitely other people in the room, so.
Yeah. And if we could turn up the volume on Councilor Remy, that would be great. So, is there any objection to Councilor Remy participating remotely? Seeing none, then we will be doing roll call votes this evening. Okay, I'd like to recognize Councilor Workman. Would you please lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'd like to recognize Councilor Greenwald for a motion to adopt the minutes of our previous meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to adopt the minutes of the November 2025 meeting. Second.
Seconded by Councilor Powers. Any comments, corrections on the minutes as presented? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Bosley.
Yes.
Counselor Tobin.
Yes.
Counselor Remy.
Yes.
Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Favalise.
Yes.
Counselor Lake.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
Yes.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. For announcements this meeting, let me begin by recognizing at your desks you've got pledge information for the City of Keene's United Way campaign. This is essentially Giving Thursday tonight. So if councilors would scan the QR code on the form that is provided to you, you could make a one-time donation. Check the box that you are donating as part of the workplace campaign, and do recognize the City of Keene as your workplace so that the city gets credit for your contribution. You can also choose to do a payroll deduction by filling out the paper form and returning it to the city clerk. So, yes, we want to be good participants in the campaign, so please, if you can and are able, it's significant to do this at the end of the year, but if you're doing it by payroll deduction, it'll probably be in the next year. Okay, I wanted to announce to you that the Monadnock United Way, which has received a New Hampshire housing grant to create a housing coalition in Cheshire County and a few towns beyond, has recently appointed a housing coalition program manager. So if you had not heard of the appointment of Rebecca Levy, effective January 5th. She is the appointee filling that slot. It's not a long-term appointment, but it'll cover at least this next year. The City of Clerk has posted on the city's website current vacancies in city boards and commissions. And anyone interested in any public member wishing to learn more about those vacancies and our city committees can go to the city's website, look under governance, and you can find the city committees, you can find the application form for consideration. And that form is available for you to express an interest in the committee that you would like to serve on. And for counselors, please encourage, if there are people that you're aware of that are interested in making a contribution to the city in some manner, to make them aware of the website and the listings of vacancies that will occur as of January 1. Other things that are happening this month, in the month of December, tomorrow, from 2 to 4 p.m., Keene State College's Academic Showcase is being held at the Keene State College Student Center. City councilors have been invited to attend that, and it's a good way to show our support for the college and its students. Also want to recognize the City of Keene's Employee Recognition and Holiday Luncheon, which some folks are working very hard on. That's scheduled for Thursday, December 11th from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Blastos Room over on Marlborough Street. Counselors are welcome and encouraged to attend. The employees are sponsoring a food drive at the luncheon. So if you can, bring a non-perishable food item that will be delivered to the Keene Community Kitchen. And please bring some cash as well to purchase tickets for a 50-50 raffle that will be drawn at the end of the event. A reminder for all of the counselors that there will be a council holiday party immediately after the December 18th City Council meeting. That location has been changed, so please make note of that. It's at, the invitation's on your desk, so please make note of that change, and we will try to accelerate the meeting to facilitate our camaraderie at the end of the year and to recognize our colleagues that are leaving the City Council. For the public, they'll want to know that effective December 18th through December 25th and including January 1st, there is a parking a holiday that the city is holding. So in other words, free parking from the 18th of this month to the 25th, and again on January 1st. Time limits will still apply, so we encourage people to shop downtown during those days, have a meal, take advantage of that. The City of Keene will be, our offices are closed on Christmas Day, December 25th, and the following day, is that right? We're open on the following day, the 26th. Also closed on January 1st. And the city will be open for business on the Friday following each of these holidays. And finally, the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee meeting that was scheduled for the month of December on the 24th, that has been canceled. And the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee meeting scheduled for December 25th, that has been moved to December 23rd. I hope we've got that right. And then finally, want to remind the public and councilors that the City Council for the 2026-27 years will be sworn in an inauguration ceremony to be held on January 1st at noon per our charter. And that'll be held here in the council chambers. And for counselors who are getting sworn in, or anybody, if you have a guest that you wish to invite to that inauguration, please notify the clerk's office so that invitations can be forwarded to your invitees. And finally, it's Amanda Palmieri's birthday today, so happy birthday, Amanda. She knows how to celebrate. All right. Moving forward, we have a couple of public hearings tonight, but we're going to begin first with a presentation from the Southwest Regional Planning Commission. I'd like to invite their Executive Director, Todd Horner, for a brief presentation to the council.
Thank you, Mayor Khan. Thank you, councilors, for carving out. Am I live now? There we go. Thank you, Mayor Khan, and to the City Council for carving out a few minutes to allow me to provide you with some updates of the work going on at Southwest Region Planning Commission. Again, my name's Todd Horner, Executive Director with the agency. I'll try to keep things as concise as possible. I know you all have a full agenda tonight. So before I jump into project updates, just a few words about who we are. In short, we are a public nonprofit organization formed by municipalities for municipalities. We have 33 members in the Monadnock region. And when municipalities choose membership, they're entitled to a certain number of commissioners based on population size. And these commissioners oversee the work of the organization, approving our budget, appointing our board of directors, appointing our board of directors. And we're lucky to have 3 commissioners from the City of Keene, Mayor Khan, Ken Kost, who serves on the planning board, and Michael Conway, who is a resident and who is active with Habitat for Humanity. We advise, we don't regulate. We'll assist communities with things like zoning, but we don't engage in regulatory actions ourselves. We connect members with resources, whether that's funding, information from higher levels of government, state agencies, or our federal delegation, or we also help communities learn from one another. We work across municipal boundaries to tackle shared issues. Many of the challenges that our communities face don't start and stop at the town line, things like water, housing markets, labor markets, our transportation network. And we assist our communities on a wide range of public policy issues, everything from transportation, economic development, natural resources, hazard mitigation planning, and more. I'm going to focus tonight on 3 of our program areas, community development, brownfields, and transportation. And jumping into that first section, I'm going to focus on a particular program that we're active in and I think bears a special relevance to the city, and that is the Community Development Block Grant Program. This is a federally funded program that aims to support projects that benefit low and moderate income people. Projects need to be sponsored by a municipality, and funds often flow to a subrecipient, but a city or town needs to serve as the grantee, and we have a long history of working with the City of Keene as an awardee. At Southwest, we help develop proposals for funding, and we help with administration, so helping subrecipients through the compliance issues that often come with federal funding. I'm going to run through a few projects that are underway in the city right now, and then a few that are in the pipeline. The first one is probably familiar to all of you. You see it going up on Washington Street. That's the Roosevelt School project. There are actually 2 CDBG grants that supported this project. The first going to the retrofit of the existing school building and the new wing that is attached. That will include 30 affordable housing units. And Roosevelt West, the new build right next door, that will include another 30 affordable housing units. So 60 in total. The Roosevelt East portion of the project is expected to be complete in April of '26, and Roosevelt West is expected to be complete in 2027. The next project I want to highlight for you all is the Base Hill Cooperative. This is a resident-owned manufactured housing park on Base Hill Road. A $500,000 public facilities grant was awarded to the city of Keene and sub-granted to the cooperative to replace their drinking water system, which needed a lot of work. The residents were paying water bills that were just unaffordable. They were dipping into their reserves. I'm glad to report that that new water system is operational. It's just some punch list items that need to be completed, but we think it's a successful project that will preserve 50-plus naturally affordable housing units in the city. The next project I want to highlight for you all, this one we worked with Cheshire County to sponsor as grantee, but it's located right here in downtown Keene, and that's Monadnock Peer Support. They received $750,000 to assist with a number of improvements on their building, everything from HVAC to asbestos removal to accessibility improvements, alterations to the floor plan for improved programming. It's a really important organization that really has no other organization doing similar type work in the region, supporting folks with mental health needs. So that work is nearly complete. The lift on the front of the building is installed. The roof improvements have been made. The exterior has been returned to the original brick and repaired, and windows have been replaced. HVAC improvements are near completion, and we expect that project to wrap up at the end of the month. The last project underway that I want to update the council on is one at the Cedar Crest facility here in Keene. Many of you are probably aware or familiar with Cedar Crest. They support children. They provide pediatric care and educational services to 28 children and young adults with complex medical and developmental needs. They were awarded $25,000 to do some planning work. So they're looking to do some make some HVAC improvements and some improvements for in the interior of their space. And they are working with an engineering firm to determine the load-bearing capacity of the roof, remodeling the bathing facility area. And I thought I'd highlight this project because it showcases how this program supports not only construction, but some of the soft costs that lead up to something actually being built or improved. A few projects in the pipeline. Keene Daycare Center, a longstanding daycare facility here in the city. This is one we're actually working with the county to sponsor as grantee, but it obviously affects Keene residents. They have 70 childcare slots at their location on Wood Street right now. We're hoping to secure funding for HVAC improvements. Again, there's no air conditioning in the building. They run year-round. It gets quite hot during the summer months. Fire sprinklers are part of the scope of work, replacing the single-pane windows. With these improvements, the daycare center hopes to open up 20 more childcare slots. So we'll be looking to submit a proposal in January. And the final project in the pipeline that I want to share with you all is we're in discussions with the Community Kitchen to submit a proposal for the January funding round to install a generator at their facility. Currently, they have no backup power generation if the electricity goes out. So not a great situation for an organization that has a lot of cold storage space. And the other part of the project would be to install a lift up to the second floor of their building. Currently, when they receive food on pallets, they're breaking down the pallets, loading them on a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt goes up to the second floor, then they load everything back onto pallets. It's a lot of work. Hopefully, with this improvement, we can save the organization a lot of time and labor. And so just in closing on the CDBG portion of the presentation, we at Southwest, we really try to get out there and help organizations who could benefit from this funding to be aware that it's there. It's not the most accessible application process, so we really try to shepherd applicants who really need this funding through that process, and so we can bring this funding to the city and the region. So next, brownfields. So we have a long-standing brownfields program where we assist member municipalities in performing environmental assessment work on sites with known or suspected contamination. This program really helps pave the way for redevelopment in addressing public health issues. We work with the city on a number of sites, including the former railroad land, which now hosts, as you all know, a co-op, the Courtyard Marriott, a restaurant, senior housing, and more. We currently have 2 sites where assessment work is either underway or planned. We just wrapped up a Phase 2 environmental assessment at Zero Optical Ave, the former drive-in movie theater. The assessment work focused on 2 things: testing for potential groundwater contamination and taking soil samples from an area on the southern boundary of the site where some illegal dumping had occurred, sort of right off of New Hampshire 101. The good news is that the analysis found that no further assessment of groundwater is necessary. What we were worried about is volatile organic compounds being found on site. The environmental engineers did not find that in their groundwater sampling, so that was good news. And the soil samples did find some elevated levels of lead as well as asbestos, and the consultant is recommending excavation and off-site disposal. The contamination site is relatively limited, so the price tag or the estimate that they've developed for that cleanup work is on the order of $50,000 to $75,000. So not as bad as it could have been. It's a really important site, obviously, clear, relatively clean, and hopefully this environmental assessment work helps move that site one step closer to being put to good use. The second site I want to speak with you about is Zero Gilbo Ave. It looks somewhat pretty here with the snow on the ground, but it's the dirt lot on Gilbo Ave. Phase 1 environmental assessment work is planned for this site. That assessment would entail a review of historical records, municipal files, historic maps, some site reconnaissance and other activities that would help the city and others understand what the history of the site and whether there is any known storage or release of hazardous materials on site. So this is the first step in better understanding what contamination could be present on the property. That funding is committed for this work, and at this point we're awaiting authorization by the landowner to proceed. And then finally, I want to speak with you about transportation, and specifically the 10-year plan, or the 10-year transportation improvement plan, which is the capital improvement plan for the state's transportation system. It's updated every 2 years. Each planning commission across the state plays a role in development of the plan by facilitating a process whereby regional priorities are identified and nominated for inclusion in the plan. The headline, unfortunately, this update cycle is that there isn't enough revenue to support the projects that are already in the plan, let alone new submissions. There's a $400 million shortfall over the 10-year period. And that means that certain projects that were in the plan have been removed in the proposed draft. The good news for the city is that none of the projects in the city were removed from the plan. There were some delays. The delayed projects are up on the screen. The delays range from 1 to 2 years. So in the scheme of things, I think it's a relatively good result for the city. Some of our other member municipalities unfortunately had their projects removed or rejected completely. In response to the situation, the Planning Commission has been doing a couple of things, helping our member municipalities participate in the process as the 10-year plan is developed, alerting them to the revenue shortfall, and helping our member municipalities understand whether they saw projects removed or not. They need to make their voices heard so the governor, the executive council, New Hampshire DOT understand how important these regional projects are. I know the city staff has been diligent in doing that. And we're also in the process of drafting a write-up that we'll be sharing with our member municipalities, summarizing the revenue shortfall, some potential solutions to filling that gap, and essentially providing them with information that they can use to communicate with the legislature to make their perspective heard if they think that the state should take action on resolving the revenue shortfall. And since that wasn't the most fun topic to end on, I thought I'd offer a bonus slide here. This is a fun collaboration between the city and the Planning Commission. We worked with the Planning Commission, or we worked with the city, Pathways for Keene, the Monadnock Region Rail Trail Collaborative on developing some trail maps for the rail trail network. These are in the bike shops around town. They're at the Chamber of Commerce. They're available on our website. It's just a useful promotional tool for marketing one of the city and the region's most valuable recreational assets. So I've got a few copies of those here tonight. But I think that's all I have. I hope I didn't go too far over time, but
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you were concise.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And sharing those around is a timely thing to do.
Yeah.
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Sorry about that. Yeah. So thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
Any follow-ups from counselors? Counselor Roberts?
Thank you, Your Honor. You hit where the state is short all this money, and I think the fiscal position is the best it's going to be in for a while, and it's only going to get worse. So what do you think about the future of these community block grants? You think they're at risk, or we're going to lose money availability?
The Community Development Block Grant Program, we are reasonably confident that the January funding round will be sufficiently funded. Beyond that, my crystal ball gets hazier. The last I looked at the budget bills that were making their way through Congress, CDBG, that particular program seemed to be flat funded. So that's a popular one on a bipartisan basis because it supports projects that legislators that can,
Take credit.
yeah. I wasn't going to say that, but exactly. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a hearing next week, 2 weeks from now, on an application coming before us.
Yes. Yes. So we'll be back to speak in more details about a couple of projects.
Okay. Thank you very much, Todd.
Thank you. I'm going to pass my card around. I don't know if I have quite enough of these maps for the full council. I only had 8 in the office. So you'll need to visit your local bike shop.
If you could
Run
pass
out.
one to me, I think
Yeah.
I have a special guest tomorrow that will want to,
Okay.
will be timely to present to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'd like to next then recognize the city clerk to present our first public hearing of the evening.
Certainly. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Keene City Council relative to Ordinance O 2025-34A relating to a zone change. Petitioner, City of Keene Community Development Department, proposes to amend the zoning map of the City of Keene by changing the zoning designation for 4 parcels located at 62 Maple Avenue. They include 84 Maple Ave, 90 Maple Ave, and 100 Maple Ave. That's 3, actually. From industrial park to medium density, and the zoning designation of the 2 parcels located off 0 Route 12, from industrial park to low density. The total area of land that would be impacted is approximately 70 acres. Per order of the mayor and city council of the city of Keene, this 6th day of November, 2025.
Thank you very much. Present at our presentation table are Megan Fortson and Mary Brunner. And I'd like to, both of our community development staff, I'd like to recognize Mary Brunner for presentation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mary Brenner, Senior Planner, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Megan Fortson, the planner in our office, to do an overview of this ordinance.
Thank you, Mary. So as Mary said, I'm one of the planners in the Community Development Department and did the review of this ordinance from the beginning up until the point that it's at now. I'm just going to go through a brief history of where the ordinance has gone from the start process to where we are this evening. It was first introduced to the full council for a first reading on October 2nd and was referred to the joint committee, who then reviewed it on October 14th. At the October 14th meeting, the joint committee of the planning board and PLD decided that they would create an A version of the ordinance, which took it from just proposing to rezone a 1 1/4 acre portion of the Cheshire Medical Center parcel to actually rezoning the entirety of that 50-acre parcel, as well as 5 other parcels. 4 of the parcels are along Maple Ave, and then there's 2 parcels that have frontage along Route 9. And so the A version of that ordinance was sent forward with the PLD recommending that the mayor set a public hearing date, and the planning board felt that it was consistent with the 2025 updated comprehensive master plan at that point in time. It was then sent back to city council on November 6th, and Mayor Khan had sent the public hearing for tonight. If approved, it would obviously go back to the PLD committee for further discussion and a final recommendation before coming back to the full council for a final vote and decision.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council? This is the opportunity for the public to speak, so council will get its chance both in committee and then when it comes back. Seeing no questions at this point, I thank you for your presentation. I'd like to see a show of hands in the public. Anybody wishing to address this public hearing relative to the Maple Avenue and Route 12 amendments to the zoning map? I see a person. Would you, I'm sorry, if you would come to the mic, introduce yourself and your place of residence, and
My name is,
I think you're on.
okay. My name is Christopher McLean. I live at 122 Water Street at 100 Nights. I was just wondering, so what kind of building plans can happen on a medium density lot? It's not compared to a industrial park lot. Just for my own clarification.
Great. I'll turn that, recognize Mary and Megan, if you'd care to address that.
Yes, so in general, the industrial park zoning district is an industrial zoning district, so you're gonna see more industrial uses that are allowed. Medium density is a residential zoning district, mostly single family, two family, three family, and then you might get a few smaller multifamily. But in general, it's, medium density is more of like a residential neighborhood, whereas industrial park are the larger industrial uses. This area historically had one industrial use that's no longer there. And none of the parcels that are currently zoned industrial park in this area of Keene are currently used for industrial purposes. And in fact, but there are some that are used for residential uses. And so that was part of the reason that staff is recommending changing the zoning designation to just sort of align with the surrounding area and the desired development for that area of Keene. I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Okay. Counselor Favlis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real quickly so that I can confirm that this is as simple and straightforward as I think it is. For the city-owned parcels in this area, unless the city wants to build a daycare center or a data center or something like that, we're going to have to rezone this, correct?
I believe so, if I understand your question. So right now, I don't believe the city owns any land here yet. But if the city were to purchase land in this area, which, then yes, that's correct.
Counselor Mosley.
If the planning department could also just address that, the process of Maple Ave being a street that's designated as an institutional street so that we can have institutional uses there and just kind of clarify that for folks as well.
So yes, this Maple Ave is on the city's list of institutional streets, and what that basically means is that there are certain uses such as the hospital facility that's on Maple Ave, as well as the Trinity Lutheran Church and School that they don't comply with the underlying zoning districts, so industrial park, medium density. I don't believe that those uses are allowed in either of those districts. However, they are allowed along streets that are on the institutional streets list. So sort of regardless of the underlying zoning, those uses are allowed.
We have in our packet a very convenient reference page of the kinds of uses that are permitted beyond residential, and it is a very flexible zone for other kinds of low-density, low-impact uses. Seeing no other questions, and again, any member of the public wishing to address this topic? And seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask that if there are written comments that they need to be submitted to the clerk's office by 1 p.m. on Tuesday, December 9th, and that is so they can be considered by the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee, whose meeting is on December 10th, at which the committee could take up a final recommendation back to the council. And just to remind the public hearing is the opportunity to speak. No other public comments would be taken on the item once it returns to PLD for consideration. Okay, that's a tip to the next hearing, but we will now close the public hearing on O-2025-34A and open up our next public hearing for the clerk.
And notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Keene City Council relative to Ordinance O-2025-28A relating to zone change. Petitioner Adam Wright proposes to amend the zoning map of the city of Keene by changing the zoning designation of the 5 properties located at 0 Winchester Street, 291 Winchester Street, 371 Pearl Street, 305 Winchester Street, and 363 Pearl Street from low density to commerce, The total area of land that would be impacted by this is approximately 1.58 acres. Per order of the mayor and city council of the city of Keene, this 6th day of November, 2025.
Thank you. Present again for this public hearing from the community development staff is Mary Brunner and Megan Fortson. And I'll turn this over to you to present some further information.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is Megan Fortson, planner. So this application has been in the works for a while. It was initially submitted to council for a first reading on August 21st of this year and was referred to joint committee for their review for a public workshop on September 8th. The original proposal involved the proposed rezoning of 8 parcels along Winchester and Pearl Street, which was going to be a total acreage of about 2.6. And then at that joint committee meeting on September 8th, the committee voted to create an A version of the ordinance, which removed 3 of the 8 parcels from the proposal. So it now involves the 5 parcels that are shown in blue on the map. And at that point, with those proposed changes, planning board felt that it was consistent with the 2010 master plan, which is what was being used at that time. PLD felt comfortable with making the recommendation that Mayor Khan set a public hearing. So it was, the public hearing was set at the September 18th city council meeting. Or excuse me, there was no public hearing set at this city council meeting. At the city council meeting on September 18th, Mayor Khan actually sent the ordinance back to the joint committee for another public workshop phase at the request of the petitioner. And that's really because many members of the community had come out and expressed concern over the potential change of use from low density, or potential zone change from low density to it being commerce. So when the applicant went back to the joint committee for a second public workshop on October 14th, they were proposing the A version of the ordinance that the Planning Licenses and Development Committee and Planning Board had created, which is what you see before you this evening. On September 8th at the joint committee meeting, we had 4 members of the public who had spoken in opposition to the proposed zone change. And then at the October 14th joint committee meeting, we had 6 people in opposition to the proposed zoning ordinance. So council on November 6th had set a public hearing, given that the petitioner had revised the proposal to comply with what had been approved by the joint committee.
Mary Brenner, Senior Planner. Mary Brenner, Senior Planner. I just wanted to add a couple of things here. So the slide that you see in front of you shows the 5 parcels that are proposed to be rezoned. And as Ms. Fortson mentioned, the master plan that we were using to evaluate this ordinance actually changed partway through the process. So the first public workshop, we were looking at the 2010 master plan. The second public workshop, the master plan had been updated, and so now we're using the 2025 master plan. And because it's a little bit newer, I just wanted to go through what the future land use map says for this area. So the area in yellow here is part of the Pearl Street neighborhood, which is a very historic neighborhood with a really well-established neighborhood identity and fabric. And the area shown in commerce historically was also part of that same neighborhood, and over time has been transitioning for the parcels along Winchester Street to be more commercially oriented. And so the future land use map that was part of the 2025 adopted master plan identifies the area along Winchester Street as something called corridor-oriented commerce. And this is a character area, so it's focused a little bit less on the uses and more on what the character of the area actually feels like. And so the land development pattern that's envisioned for this area of the city is efficient use of space and development patterns serve as a transition between car-centric places to higher density interconnected spaces. These tend to be clustered along major thoroughfares such as West Street, Winchester Street, and Route 101. It includes a combination of residential, such as multifamily developments, commercial spaces, and low-impact light industrial uses. The area is a regional magnet for chain developments, workforce, and consumers. Examples include Panera, Home Depot, Old Navy, Starbucks, Aroma Joe's, Burger King, and Walmart. The transportation is envisioned as being more multimodal. So these areas are accessible by multiple modes of transportation, including biking, public transit, and pedestrian walking infrastructure. It's easily accessible by car, but without congestion or major safety issues, and it serves as connectors between the downtown and the outskirt areas. So that is, for the parcels along Winchester Street, that's what the future land use map envisions for this area of Keene. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for preparing us for this conversation. Any questions of the staff at this point? I expect there are a number of people who wish to speak on this item. I'll again ask those who wish to speak on the item, just get a sense of hands.
And
And the applicant is next.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. I'd like to recognize the applicant to present their petition. Sorry, I jumped the gun there, public.
Good evening, John Noonan with Fieldstone Land Consultants. Mayor Khan, City Council members, thank you for having the public hearing tonight so we can discuss our side of the petition here. With me is the petitioner, who is Adam Wright. He owns property on the area that is looking to be rezoned. And we had submitted this application, and as discussed and fully explained by Megan, we went through iterations as part of the joint committee hearing. In those iterations, we went back and forth on that ultimate line of if we took some of the properties that were on Pearl Street and kept them residential, but made them smaller with a boundary line adjustment. And ultimately, we came back with the revision A, which is before you tonight, where we're utilizing the existing property boundaries as the zoning, maintaining 3 of the lots in the residential low-density area, and then ultimately the corner of Pearl Street and Winchester Street becoming the commerce. So we had the properties are situated along the corner of Pearl and Winchester Street, where there's a mix of residential and commercial uses. The petitioner of this application has the intent to own these lots and develop the land as a commercial use or a mixed use. The residential homes on these lots have been vacant for years and have fallen into disrepair. The location of these properties does not serve the residential low-density zoning very well, as the roundabout vehicle traffic and the adjacent fast food restaurants hinder the appeal of residential homes at the intersection. Based on feedback from the joint committee, the request has been amended to have these 3 lots in the low-density residential, and the zoning line would follow the existing property boundaries as depicted on the map here and here. The location of the properties on Winchester Street are better suited to be zoned commerce. The permitted uses in the commerce zoning district would allow for a broader range of uses. These uses include many types of commercial businesses along with multifamily housing allowed. The many uses permitted would make the properties much more marketable to potential investors and developers. The lots could be developed to include a mix of commercial, multifamily residential, and single-family residential uses that could provide a transition zone between the existing commercial and residential uses from Winchester Street to Pearl Street. The frontage of the properties along Winchester Street would provide ideal visibility and access for commercial businesses. This section of Winchester Street has 2 lanes of traffic on each side of the divided roadway. This is south of the new roundabout that's there. This allows for heavier traffic along Winchester Street and is typical of the commerce zone, whereas the double lanes are not typical of the residential zones, specifically the low-density residential zone in the surrounding neighborhood along Pearl Street. During the joint committee, there were many concerns brought up, mostly about stormwater and floodwaters from the Ishwheelat River. The site plan review process for developing these lots will require the review of stormwater management and floodwaters to ensure that there are no impacts. The existing residential uses on the land do not have stormwater management systems currently, and renovations to the homes would not require addressing these concerns. So ultimately, the city has done a lot of work, and city staff has done a good job on working on an updated master plan, and then also we have a land development code that includes all of these site standards. The site development standards address a lot of these concerns that are brought up by abutters in addressing stormwater management. You know, there are questions about impervious areas increasing on these areas and how you handle stormwater management, floodwaters, because this isn't the floodplain, 100-year floodplain from the Ishwheelat River is nearby and on portions of these lots. And then also there were concerns on safety with vehicle, pedestrian traffic, also lighting, landscaping, screening, and all of these things are outlined very well and thoroughly in the land development code. These have to be reviewed and meet the standards of the city. When these lots are reviewed, specifically and typically in commercial type developments, they go before the planning board. They're reviewed thoroughly to make sure that floodwaters, so any fill in the floodplain, we have to offset with an engineering design. That gets reviewed by building code and the floodplain administrator for the city. And then stormwater management, that is also a major compliance on the planning board side. So when we submit, we provide, you know, a stormwater management plan that designates how these storms are handled, so there's no increase in impacts of increased rainwater outfall from the site. And then certainly the other site development standards being traffic, so regardless of what type of development goes there, if it was multifamily, residential, or commercial use, we have to show, you know, the increase of traffic, whether it's pedestrian vehicles, and offset and show how that's managed on these sites. There's concerns on lighting, commerce, certainly anything that's developed for commerce, it's gonna have a lighting plan. So these things are reviewed. We believe most of these concerns that are brought up, they're absolutely outlined already to be reviewed by planning board, meet zoning regulations, and would address concerns of abutters as part of the development plan. We just ask that the council, you know, realize that the city has a lot of these standards in place to protect abutters and landowners around developments. Us as land consultants work very hard to make sure that we address those standards and ensure that there's no impacts to abutting properties. You know, I just want to reiterate, city staff has done a great job in creating a comprehensive land development code that outlines each of these development concerns. They must be addressed during the planning and community development review portions of planning and submitting a site plan application. And that's regardless of what type of development goes on these lots, whether it is a residential, multi-family residential, or a commercial type use. You know, the Pearl Street neighborhood will be maintained by the amended zoning, where residential uses will remain, and the corner lots on Pearl Street and Winchester Street will provide that transition zone into existing commerce uses along Winchester Street. The rezoning to commerce does not eliminate the residential use, and it only expands the types of uses that can be developed in this area of the city. It's very much in line with what the new master plan has been developed, and as Megan and Mary had stated, that changed the master plan during our hearings from when we first went before the joint committee to now. I just want to reiterate, the plan before you is the one that was approved by the joint committee and was the suggestion of the public hearing. We believe this meets the intent of the applicant and the board's suggestion for rezoning this area in the community. The proposed zoning would allow for more opportunities and options to redevelop this intersection and expand the commerce district in a logical manner. Ultimately, it's bringing it down. Just as as a background, the original zoning in this area for these lots was commerce when it was the Pearl Street School. It was commercially zoned. It was one of the first areas that was commercially zoned in the first zoning map for Keene. So,
Okay, that concludes your
that concludes my.
formal comments.
Yes. Like,
Mr. Wright?
answer any
likewise.
questions?
Thank you guys very much for your time. I'm afraid Mike's going to leave if I talk, so I'm going to stay quiet, but thank you guys all for your time. I know it's a lot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the petitioner at this point? Seeing, Mr. Robert, Counselor Roberts.
One of the things I heard from a number of people was the trust factor. For a long time, there were people living in those houses, and then the people were evicted from the houses, and the houses sat there for a couple years in disrepair. But when you talked about it, you came across to, the houses are just sitting there and they haven't been lived in, where the people who live in the area knew who some of those people and knew that people were living in there, and those people were basically forced out. So the trust, they just really question whether you're trustworthy, what you're actually going to do with that property when you're saying what you want to do. So that's what you have to really convince that neighborhood.
Okay. I don't know that there's a response to that.
Yeah, it's not a question. Yeah, it not being a question, I don't know how to answer that. Anything that's developed on those lots would be presented on that. So for the rezoning, we don't present a plan of this is what's going to be developed on that lot. We're asking it to be opened up in the zoning where now you have more options on that land. Past uses, yeah, so.
Understood.
Anything will be clear when we submit a site development plan.
Thank you. Counselor Madison?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just curious, why commerce as opposed to something like medium density, which allows multifamily or duplexes by right, and a number of commercial uses by conditional use permit?
Ultimately, it's so that you don't have spot zoning. So we're utilizing expansion of the zone that's directly next to it. So it's where low density and commerce meet now. We're just following the Winchester side to be commerce. If we put another zone, it would be spot zoning, which is typically frowned upon for any type of zoning, is to have a spot zone.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Tobin?
Thank you. Sorry. I had a similar question. I'm looking at commerce. Mary had just mentioned that that area was intended to be multimodal, access view multimodal. Commerce, it looks like is supposed to be accessed predominantly by vehicles. So multimodal does not look like it's a priority in commerce, so I'm just kind of wondering about any other considerations and why commerce.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, and counselors, just for the public's sake, if you could rise so that we're more easily understood.
Do you want me to repeat that?
I think so.
Okay, I was just asking why commerce? Reason being that commerce is intended to be accessed predominantly by vehicles, whereas that area in our new master plan is intended to be multimodal.
thank you. So to answer that, this area of Winchester Street, as many people know, has the new roundabout in it. The city had spent a lot on infrastructure, sidewalk improvements, the curbing, which also was just done down Island Street. So it is more multimodal in that area now, in that there's crosswalks at the roundabout. The sidewalks tie into the area that goes down the front. Commerce type development is more likely to provide sidewalks and other items in front of their development versus if it was low density residential. You're not going to have someone apply for building one home and then want to expand city sidewalks, whereas typically, that can be brought up as a commercial site plan, where sidewalks are provided in front of your site to make that connection. But yeah, really as part of the city doing that infrastructure and improving sidewalks and everything, there is more availability for pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic in that area, in addition to the 2-lane traffic for vehicles.
I'd refer the public or any of us to page 22 in our packet, but this question is addressed by staff. No other questions. I'd like to thank you for your presence and testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Cohn.
We'll turn to the public. I'm going to ask that the public, as you testify, please limit your comments to not more than 4 minutes. We'll ring a bell or indicate, let you know with a gavel or whatever, but we want to include everybody. We also don't want to go too late into the evening. So thank you for your consideration. Let's see, sign of hands and who wants to come up first. And we can try and switch. Yeah, come on up. Introduce yourself. And if there are people, it kind of seems like two sides of the wedding. But if it'd be great to kind of have a balance if there are folks on the right, the left side of the room. All right, please.
My name is Sally Rose, and I live at 315 Pearl Street. And I've been to 2 of these meetings. And this meeting had an excessive amount of talk about housing and affordability, and, there's a new council on it too. So why are we trying to take any valuable land that could be for housing and make it commercial when it really isn't accessible like that there? That's a neighborhood that's got history, a neighborhood that has been written up about. It's a fabric of Keene, and I would think that the city would want to preserve its neighborhoods and its citizens over commerce. When we have so much commerce and so many closed stores and things that don't do well, why do we need more? I think it's a neighborhood. It's a small neighborhood. It's really cute. We love it there. It's not fair to make it commercial. That's not commercial land there. There were 2 houses, 3 houses, with people in them, children that my kids went to school with. And I really think that housing is a really big issue these days, and I really think commerce is not a good idea for this. Because what you're going to do is you're going to erode the rest of that neighborhood. You've already got the other end of Pearl Street, very, very dangerous, where you have to cross. And now you're going to you're whittling away this, and Island Street's been blown up. The neighborhood's losing its neighborhood. I think it's enough, and I really think you should not do that. I really think you should leave it the way it is. And I think housing should be put there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Please, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Popwich. I own 127B Pearl Street. I have a couple, I guess maybe logistical and technical concerns with this. Looking at the map, I don't know how any amount of business is going to come on and off of Winchester within that first 25 feet of the roundabout. That's just going to undo all the investment that was just made in making that roundabout flow. It was so hard before. The city put the effort into it, and it's so much nicer now. The only way it's going to work now is unloading and loading off of Pearl Street, and that's going to back up Pearl Street. It's going to bring more people down Pearl Street. We already have a speeding problem down Pearl Street. There was recently a temporary speed bump put in on Pearl Street. can't tell you how many times I've been walking my dog on Pearl Street and whoosh! Their families live there. The more traffic we have go down there, it's not nice. Councilor Roberts' point about the families that were evicted there, I went by there every day on my way to work. Kids on the way to school, going right by, and all of a sudden, purchased, closed, done. Yeah, it's true, there were people there. It wasn't empty and abandoned for years and then bought. It was bought and then closed off. There was a point made, you could have residential and commerce, I think they said. Okay, we'll keep it low density and put residential in there. That argument doesn't jive for me. And also said, oh, it's right at the corner already anyways. Might as well expand, change it. That's just a slippery slope, death by a thousand cuts. In 5 years, they're gonna wanna take the next couple, and then the next couple, and then the next couple. It's just, we have to stop somewhere. It has to be a hard line of, hey, we're actually on Pearl Street. How far do we keep going? And generally, I'm not comfortable with a blank check given of, hey, put whatever commercial or commerce you want on here. I don't know what that is. I've heard rumors of some other fast food. Yeah, we need more fast food when Panera just left Island Street. Or anything else there. We've got, why? I've heard other people say that. I don't get it. Yeah. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody next?
Hi, council members. My name is Charles Henderson. I live at 122 Water Street. The only question I really have is that if you put a commercial in a residential area, what damage is that going to have on a low-density area that's clearly around it? There's already a lot of damage coming from Walmart, coming from McDonald's. There's high-risk people there that are using in the area and also bring more crime to the area. So if you put another commercial in there, what's the risk factor of putting that in there? Have you guys thought about it? That's all I have to ask.
Thank you. Next? Yes. Thank you.
A little vertically challenged. My name is Lori Whippy. I live at 352 Pearl Street. So basically directly across from where this proposed change is happening. I've been to a number of these workshops at this point. So I'm going to just reiterate my concerns to the council members that were not at the previous workshops. One of my biggest concerns is the flood risk, and I know that the petitioners mentioned that there would be engineering solutions. However, that is not an end-all be-all. Those things don't always work, right? We have engineered solutions for flooding that have catastrophically failed in our country. And I lived here, I went to middle school and high school here. And I remember when all of the lower part of Water Street flooded and people were kayaking down the street. I myself, in the recent years, have, in the home that I live in now, have been through 2 floods. And lost a lot of sentimental things that come from, family. So when you make impervious surfaces, as you know, it makes it increase the flood risk. There's nowhere for the water to go. So you might have engineered solutions, but that's not necessarily like a perfect solution. And I will tell you that I do live right on that bank, and that water, when it does rain pretty heavily, comes right up to the top of the bank. Also with that, it does undercut my bank. I am unfortunately on the inside of that turn, so it is taking land from my property, and I have trees that are dying from that, and that is erosion is significantly increased when there's flooding. So, just for your consideration. The other thing is noise pollution. Patrons outside of businesses that are open early and late, they tend to loiter, they tend to be loud and raucous. We already have that in the McDonald's parking lot, which I face my demons every day. I look right at the Golden Arches. So there is a lot of commotion there for many parts of the year. And people are loud, and they are, in fact, potentially doing drug deals. I have actually heard and/or witnessed some. So there is drug-related crime there. Large trucks making deliveries, construction noise, those are all things to be concerned about. The light pollution from illuminated signs, headlights from cars in parking lots that are open late or very early. And not to mention the environmental pollution from things like garbage and litter, chemical runoff. A big one, I'm going to keep it really concise on this point, is there's already litter in our yards, in our properties, from people who patronize these businesses. And also from their dumpsters or whatever garbage disposal that they have, blows over into our properties. And worse still, if we move this even closer to the river, that's going to just increase pollution in the river. So not just flooding, but also pollution.
If you could wrap this up.
Yes. There's a huge public safety risk. The roundabout, in my opinion, is too small already. People don't merge correctly in the lanes, and the crosswalks are like in a blind spot. And I've witnessed people almost get hit by people. You can't see pedestrians waiting to cross. If you're coming from that Island Street side, if you're turning onto Pearl Street and someone's trying to cross, you could easily hit them. Sorry. There's also a school bus stop right there.
We're
All right.
over a limit. But
Thank you for your time.
okay, thank you, Ms. Whippy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shauna Stack Davis. My husband and I own 323 Pearl Street. We've been a part of the neighborhood 19 years now. The parcel runs right in back of my house, part of it. So I just wanted to speak a few issues with that because they did bring up that when commercial plans happen, they think about the neighbors abutting. I don't think this happened when McDonald's went in. There's big privacy issues. They recently cut down a lot of our privacy trees this past season. The noise, the crime, you got people hanging out all hours of the night. It's not policed. It's not good for the neighborhood. So I would hate to see another business, potentially even fast food, go in there and have even more of that kind of crime, traffic, noise, the light pollution. It's real. Pearl Street also already has issues of safety in regards to traffic and speeding. You can go to Pearl Street any day of the week. You can come visit me and sit out in front of my house and you hear the cars whipping 60, 70 miles an hour. And the loud cars with their loud music. And, they'll pull up to McDonald's and, wait for their food. And that's all you can hear is their bass going. And putting commerce on this parcel will actually change the dynamics of the historic neighborhood. And as other people, I don't want to be repetitive, it starts with this and then it keeps going. And, so I'll have it right in back of my house even more than I do with McDonald's and potentially next door, Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Amy Fulton, and I live on 75 Wood Street. I'm actually one of the little lots on that map. And I have to tell you, this might be a great idea for the developer, but it's not a great idea for anybody else. Because, as everyone has said, people abuse Pearl Street. The roundabout needs a police officer there to direct traffic, because I've witnessed several car accidents. And I also, when Island Street was available, would go that way to get home. And when the bus stops, the cars stop, and people from Island Street don't stop, people from Winchester Street don't stop, you end up with the roundabout being clogged, and someone is going to get seriously hurt. What else they're not considering is on Wood Street, we have a daycare center, the Italian Club, and a huge industrial park, which I have already called the City of Keene because they now lease it to a pavement company. And I have spoken to the owner, and they go up and down that street so fast in these great big huge dump trucks and tar removing machines, and they're open on Saturdays and Sundays. We don't get a break. So now you have this big industrial area, and you want to put a commerce area. When I walk my dog, I walk out my backyard into Mr. Wright's area, and then there would be a business. It's just not fair. And for these people to say they've been doing this since August, but yet, did he own that property when the houses were there and for 20 years let them rot? Because I've been there for 20 years, since 2006. And those houses, no one has done anything to them. It actually, we thought there were squatters living there. And I have no idea, because no one with money would live there if they had a choice. So that's the way that property was allowed to be. Plus, there are now rumors that there are drug sales going on up and down Pearl Street and on Wood Street, and I feel like businesses would just make that worse. Plus, who's to say they're not gonna build a bar there? They could build whatever they want. It's commerce. So anything that makes money, and I feel like this is a money thing, and it has nothing to do with helping our neighborhood. And I would love for you to not allow this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fulton. Next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Knapp. I live at 129 Pearl, which is a little bit away from where this is going to happen, but after the work that has been done on Island Street and the sheer amount of traffic that we have experienced on Pearl Street in the last 6 months, it's insanity. I used to be able to just pull out of my driveway with, looking left, right, no traffic. I have to wait for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars speeding through there in the morning and in the afternoon. The sheer volume of traffic that is on that road now, I've lived there now for almost 9 years. I've never experienced it like I have in the last year. The volume and the loudness of the vehicles, which I can hear starting at Winchester Street, revving down the street and going all the way down to West Street. It's a huge problem. I think having that property at the end of Winchester and Pearl as a buffer for our neighborhood is really important. There's not a lot of neighborhoods around any longer, and I think that we should be keeping the neighborhoods as neighborhoods and not allow commerce on that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, how many more we've got? Yeah, come on up.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Steve Gunseth, a property owner on Pearl Street 228. I am speaking on behalf of Drew McGuire. He couldn't attend this evening, and I want to read his testimony. He's writing in to express my opposition to the proposed rezoning of the property on Pearl Street in Keene. I am concerned that this change would have long-term negative effects on both my neighbors and myself. Residents living adjacent to the rezoned area could face increased property taxes, already a significant burden in New Hampshire, and particularly Keene, as well as substantial rise in unwanted traffic. That was highlighted. These impacts would meaningfully meaningfully alter the character and livability of our neighborhood. I respectfully urge the City of Keene to reject this rezoning proposal, not only for the well-being of current residents, but also for those who may choose to make our community their home in the years to come. Thank you, Drew McGuire. And again, as a property owner on Pearl Street, I do support his opinion as well. Really needs to stay residential.
You do support?
Opposing Adam Wright's request. I mean,
You
I
oppose?
appreciate what Adam is trying to do, but I object. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, if you want to submit that to the clerk's staff over on the side here. Thank you. Yes, sir. Come on forward.
How are you doing? My name's Dylan. I also live at 352 Pearl Street. I'm opposing this.
Sorry, you still live there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I
thank you.
also live at
That-
352.
Just wanted to establish that.
So I also oppose this rezoning for a couple of reasons. It's just a little too vague, not knowing what they're going to build there. Some of the reasons that I'm thinking about it is if they build a giant building, shade, it's going to shade a lot of the houses. It can cause mold, which could damage the roofs, plant death, and environmental factors like messing with wildlife that naturally go there. My other reasons are, I've been looking up a couple studies for commercial versus residential crime rates. There are a couple peer-reviewed sources from Science Direct, then the Journal of Urban Economics that show that there's been a 15% increase of crime rate when you encroach commercial into residential neighborhoods. I can always send that in so you guys can see the articles that I read. And my other thing that I'm worried about is commercial, where one of my fellow neighbors brought up that we're kind of giving them a blank check. And we don't know what they're going to build there. So we're going to roll the dice, not knowing if it will increase property values or decrease them. And then going back to the crime rate, I've lived at 352 Pearl Street for about 6 years. I like to see the First Start kids walk up and down the street. And as crime increases, I found bags of heroin on the ground, and I've had to call the cops a few times. When they're having more properties where we don't know what's going to go in there, the kids are they literally get on a bus right where they want to make a commercial. And it makes me worried because when I drive around Keene, most commercial properties, I do see a lot of people on drugs. I've seen people shooting up on the Walgreens right on West Street. And it's like, it's on the main street and people are using drugs out in the open. And it was like one of the first things I saw when I moved to Keene. Keene is a beautiful place, and I think we should keep this low-density residential.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, yep, come on forward.
Hello, my name's Donna Woodhull. I've lived 29 years on Crescent Street, which isn't on there, but is in the corner of, by Meadow Road on Pearl Street. I will speak to the traffic. I was rear-ended back in July by someone that was going 60 miles an hour at that corner by Meadow Road. It's just been increasing, like with Island Street being closed. But speaking to the fact that I've lived there for 29 years, we bought the home when my son was 6 years old. It was a neighborhood. The kids played hockey in the street, they played basketball in the street, and everybody that has come up here has spoken to the traffic. It's a neighborhood. We bought there, and the taxes in Keene are the third highest in the state. So we're paying property taxes to live in a neighborhood. And I guess I'm opposed to it based that's the way I would like to keep it. It was known as Little Italy when we moved in, and we've always just appreciated that it was a neighborhood. And it doesn't feel that way anymore. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm short, so I'll go.
That works.
My name is Regina Wright, and I happen to be Adam Wright's mother. I also happen to be the property manager for the apartments that Adam bought early on, and we're down to the last at 347 Pearl Street. I'm a person who is almost 80, and I still manage many of the properties. I have good tenants. The trust factor is blowing me away, Mr. Roberts, because part of the reason we bought.
I just want to ask to not personalize and just direct your
Well, I
comments to
am,
the chair.
I am.
Yeah, thank you.
But reason that we bought, did you say your piece?
I said you shouldn't talk about your son like
I'm
that, or his mother.
All right.
Did you say your piece?
Yo, let's not interrupt anybody's testimony.
One of the reasons that the property on Winchester Street was purchased was because of the drugs, the falling apart of the places, the terrible deterioration. When I have tenants living at 347, they frequently made comments about what was happening. And if anybody knows, those houses were in disrepair years and years and years before we bought them. We bought them about 2 years ago. I had to have a crew, and the crew that went in there had needles, rats, mice. The places were horrible. And everybody who lives on Pearl Street knows the horrible condition. I came here to be very positive about this, and my comment would be Winchester Street, the gateway into the city of Keene, has been beautified nicely. I mean, the roundabouts, you know, the buildings, the streets, the lining in the middle of the street, everything is looking nice except that terrible corner. That terrible corner on Winchester and Pearl is a mess. It needs to be done something with it. What should happen is continued business. That's the whole strip all the way down. Car dealerships, restaurants, gas stations. People who come in, they come in to go to TJ Maxx, they come in to go to Home Goods, they come in to go to Walmart. They're coming in to shop and spend money in Keene. I would like my taxes to go down. I would like people to come in and buy and purchase things around there. Winchester Street at the Keene State College end has speed bumps. I certainly think the city of Keene should invest in more speed bumps down Pearl Street. I agree, the people are running crazy down that street. They also run crazy at times down Winchester Street, down Main Street. It's crazy. This is a changing population in the city of Keene. We're seeing cars that New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Vermont, there aren't 80% New Hampshire cars sitting in Keene areas. You just drive down Main Street. You've got everything down there. It's a changing scenario in this city. And the old days are gone. I'm sorry, the old days are gone. But can we do something to help move this along? Winchester Street is a vital gateway into the heart of Keene. It has undergone tremendous updates in the last few years to welcome people. First, there was the corridor. Second, the bridge over the Ashwellet River. Third, the construction of 2 new roundabouts. All of these were designed to improve traffic flow, safety, and welcoming access to local businesses. That's in your project plan that you all wrote about and produced, and I think it's beautiful. Beyond that, we have now to consider economic growth, maybe lessening our taxes on Keene's residents. Second,
This is right, if you could wrap it up.
beautification of Winchester Street, and third, connectivity and quality of life. We still have tenants. I would like to see the traffic slower. I think you need to put in speed bumps. I would like to see things beautiful there. I think that's a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't have a lot to add. My name is Stephen Allen. I live right there in that corner at 305 Winchester Street. I think that corner has been a blight on the city for decades. I've lived there for, I think, 35 years now. And everybody has always known those houses to be the heroin houses. And they've just been totally neglected for decades. And it seems as though it'd be nice to see that area cleaned up a little. That's it.
Thank you. One more person?
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name's Michelle Wright. I grew up on Pearl Street and now myself own a home in the neighborhood. I'm here to state clearly and firmly why the proposed rezoning of Pearl Street from low-density residential to commercial is not only ill-advised, it is fundamentally incompatible with the city's own standards, goals, and long-term obligations stated in the 2025 master plan. Councilors who prioritize logic, consistency, and responsible planning will see that this proposal does not withstand scrutiny. First, the measurable, predictable, and economic harm. Every planning study across the country confirms that introducing commercial zoning into a stable residential area depresses nearby property values. When commercial lighting, signage, extended business hours, parking lots, and traffic enter a residential block, the market responds with lower demand for those homes. Lower demand means lower appraisals, lower tax revenue, and diminished long-term economic stability for families and the city. There's no data, none, that shows the reverse occurring. Second, the environmental and safety impacts are guaranteed. They're not theoretical. Commercial zoning brings with it unavoidable light pollution, noise pollution, and significantly increased traffic loads. Pearl Street is a narrow human-scale street. It was never engineered for commercial circulation patterns, loading zones, or overflow parking. Upzoning it to a commercial guarantees safety risks for pedestrians, cyclists, and children. It also guarantees increased wear on infrastructure the city will ultimately pay to repair. This is not speculation. It is predictable, documented municipal impact. Third, the city's own cultural stewardship obligations are being ignored. The Keene Heritage Commission has recently recognized this area as the only remaining historic Italian neighborhood in the city of Keene. And that is not a sentimental label. It is the official acknowledgement of cultural and historical significance. If this rezoning passes, the recognized heritage will not change. It will be eliminated. Once commercial zoning fractures a historic residential enclave, the culture, continuity, and identity vanish. You cannot legislate them back into existence. The council must ask itself, is demolishing Keene's last remaining ethnic neighborhood consistent with our stated values? Fourth, the rezoning fails the fundamental test of necessity. There has been no demonstrated need for additional commercial zones on this street, no market demand analysis, no community benefit analysis, no evidence that commercial expansion here addresses any documented economic or development gap. In contrast, the harms are well documented, predictable, and permanent. And finally, there is a better, more responsible alternative. Keene's housing needs are real, but the solution is not to destroy an existing neighborhood. The solution is to expand residential capacity where infrastructure already supports it. Infill development in appropriate zones, adaptive reuse of underutilized downtown commercial buildings, incentivized mixed-income developments, and clustered residential expansion in areas already designated for density.
If you could wrap this up. Thank you.
These strategies add housing without cannibalizing a historic neighborhood and without violating the city's own long-term planning principles. Councilors who rely on linear, fact-based decision-making will recognize that this proposal is misaligned with the economic, logic, historical preservation standards, urban planning principles, and public interest. Approving these rezonings sets a precedent that no stable neighborhood, no matter how historic or culturally significant, is safe from commercial encroachment. Rejecting it affirms that Keene governs with consistency, respect, and foresight. So I urge you, protect the residents, protect the history, protect the integrity of our planning process, and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify? Yep.
Hi, my name is Jack Donnell. I don't have a personal attachment to Pearl Street. I do live in Keene. I've lived here for about 42 out of 46 years. I have been in both of the buildings that are in terrible condition. I will say that when he purchased these homes, he wanted to try and fix them up first. It is not possible. So both of these houses are complete tear-down homes. And I've been looking at them for 40 years, and I'm sick of looking at them, I can tell you that. And it's just, when it comes down to it, sheer economics. There's those two homes, you can't make money rebuilding those homes or putting them back as is, because no one wants to live there. So I understand neighborhoods. I live in a neighborhood. I would not want someone putting anything crazy commercial next to my house, but at some point, this isn't in the middle of a neighborhood. We're not gonna have a house and commercial in the middle. It's at the end of a commercial zone, so it just makes sense to me to clean that up, and it's horrible. I understand that you also don't get control over what goes in there when you give somebody what they're saying is a blank check, but it doesn't, you can't, yes, Keene has a shortage of housing, but you just can't put houses everywhere either. Like, sometimes things need to be contemporized, and that's how if the houses there aren't reusable, go inside them. You build new ones.
I really, folks, I'll have to ask people to leave if we continue to
I'm
talk
going to make
back.
mine very short.
Thank you
Okay?
very much.
I am. I'm not going to reiterate everything that's been talked about. You know what our concerns are. I live at 308 Pearl Street, and I've lived there for 55 years. It has tremendous history, just as a house. It came from Ashulett Street originally, when the neighborhood was opened up to invite construction and homes. I have a long Italian history. All of those good things that I would like to see preserved. But my big concern, after even listening more tonight to the openness of everyone that's spoken, I appreciate everything that's been said. My concern is that years ago, before many of you were involved in the properties
Excuse
here.
me, please address your
I'm
comments
sorry,
to the
but many
chair.
of the people who spoke tonight, who weren't here earlier in our lives, we already did a fight years ago on Pearl Street to prevent zoning changes further. And that it was agreed that that border would stay as the fronting houses on Pearl Street. And I see no usable purpose for any one of us to allow changing that zoning to allow a commercial piece. And I'm sorry that it's a bad investment. And maybe the city ought to look at, when houses are in grave deterioration, maybe we should start speaking up and say, how do we deal with people who don't take care of the structure? Because yes, he bought the property, he's entitled to do that. But I'm not going to listen to the sadness. The gentleman that owned the house before was an entrepreneurial renter who did not keep his house up. I'm sorry that you have a piece of property that is not attractive. Plant grass on it and put a new house further back from the corner. I am totally against changing the zoning in our neighborhood because we already are suffering horrendously from the changes that have gone on. And the fact that Island Street is now narrower than it was, and I've heard the phrase a failed intersection on the other end of Pearl Street. When you start using phrases like that, maybe we need to take a closer look at what we're doing to neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've,
Can I just say one thing? Sorry. I want to, again, I don't have a horse in the race. My name's Chris Margraf. I went to I grew up in Keene. And
Chris.
I remember Simon's School, Pearl Street bus, Pearl Street. It was always the first road that was called. I was very jealous of that because Cheshire bus was always the last one called. But I just want to say, as a person who has grown up here, I'm very proud of hearing everybody talk and just how much pride they have in Keene and in Pearl Street. I'm a good friend of Adam Wright's, so it's got it's a tough one, Adam, let me tell you. But at the same time, for all the residents on Pearl Street, yeah, it just, you can feel it. And that, I would hate to think that a kid who's grown up in Keene all his life, mother who's been here and taken great pride in this place, that it would become so divisive and there'd be so much anger. And Adam, I would expect that you would do the right thing by them if it got zoned properly. I mean, we're here to represent and support you because we believe in this town and we love this town, okay? But it's a tough one for you, that's all. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I just want to make sure you guys can end on maybe a happier note and stuff like that. And just Pearl Street Bus, it brings me right back.
Can you just, I didn't hear your.
My name?
Residence, no, I got the
I'm
name.
sorry,
Yeah.
60 Blackberry Lane, Keene, New Hampshire.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you very much and it's been a joy to witness this stuff, even though it's hard to see.
Yes, got it. Thank you. All right, others, seeing none, I want to recognize that we did get several pieces of correspondence, and we just want to make sure that they get read into the record. I'll ask the clerk to call attention to those.
Yes, some of them are on the agenda further along, so we'll pull those forward to read into the record. The first is from Leon Watkins, and he is in support of the ordinance. The second communication is from Michael Wright of 331 Pearl Street, also in support of the ordinance. The last item on the agenda was from Shane Brown. He is also a resident of Pearl Street, and he was writing in opposition to the ordinance. In addition, we did have 2 items that came in and were distributed in mailboxes. One was from Rick Grauer of 25 Winchester Court, and he was writing in support of the ordinance. Second letter came in from Catherine Kidder, and she was also in support.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no more hands up, I will close the public hearing. So, up, where are we? Thank you. Oh, we got 2 more hands up.
Hi, I'm Nancy Proctor. I live on Algonquin Drive in Keene.
Are you testifying together, or?
There we
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
Nancy Proctor, I live on Algonquin Drive in Keene. My sons have grown up with the Wrights, Adam and his brother and sister, and I have sold them many, many properties over the years, multifamilies, investment-type properties. And every time they bought a property, they 100% improved the property. Regina and her husband, when Adam moved to Massachusetts they have managed those properties, and I'm sure the people on Pearl Street know the property that they own there has been managed well, great tenants. I know Regina, they call her the bulldozer, and so the tenants were always very respectful, and they were very, very cognizant of who they would rent to. And they talked to Keene State College a lot and made sure that they got the best tenants in there, improving what maybe the tenants were before or would have been. So I can vouch for that, for their family and Adam, that whatever they do to that property, it's going to be done in a great professional manner. So he's not a trashy landlord. And I work on Island Street, and I know it's been a hassle, and trust me, we can't even get around to our office without walking, half a mile almost every day. Be glad when that's over, and I know the traffic has been a hassle on Pearl Street, because I've had to access it, just to get to my office to go, on Pearl Street. So hopefully, when Island Street is finally done, that will alleviate some of that traffic. So anyway, I'm just here to vouch for the Wright family to say whatever it's going to be there, they will do it. They will do it right.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Pappas. I have properties in Keene, live on Main Street now. And, if you know anything about the Wright family, they take pride in the town. I mean, they own plenty of property in town. They've always been good landlords. They always take care of their places. I was hired to clean up those 2 house lots when they first bought them because they knew that it looked like an eyesore. I've had so many compliments just on cleaning it up. And you have to think of a couple things. Economics. One, someone to buy those houses at the price that they're asking for them. You know, they didn't buy these houses for peanuts, because everybody knows that they're so close to commercial, that they have multiple different values. I would look at it more as a buffer. You know, if he was to put some sort of business in there, and like I said, there has to be some trust factor. He's from here. You know, I've had the same thing when my property's on Main Street. You know, I'm trying to develop something that look just like what it was. You know, you're not selling it to someone from, you know, Connecticut or Rhode Island, some investor. You're selling it to someone, you know, he's local. They have businesses here. But if you look at it as some sort of a buffer, you know, even a buffer to the Rotary or behind whatever business they put there, a buffer, and put up fences and greenery and make that the line. You know, the end that faces Winchester Street, it just reeks of commercial. I mean, it doesn't reek of a little tiny neighborhood out on Winchester Street. I totally agree with Little Italy. I applaud it. I think it's wonderful. But it needs to have a buffer from the businesses. You know, you hear of people, their backyards are McDonald's. You hear of other people, their backyards, they have the Italian club and such. There's a buffer between these. This to me is a perfect opportunity to have a buffer from Winchester Street. You have a business and you have a buffer behind it, and that's the new line, not to be further encroached in the future, but to help benefit the neighborhood, not detract from it. I mean, use it as a that's as far as we can go. I mean, he owns more property on Pearl Street. Put it right in there that he can't go any further with businesses. He's not putting every property he has on Pearl Street on the line here. He's just asking for the corner to develop it because it's like, everything on the street is like it. You know, for nothing, there's not many houses left on there. If there are, they're old frat houses and they're run down as well. I mean, these houses need a new breath of fresh air. This whole property needs a breath of fresh air. I mean, he's trying to better the spot, not make it an eyesore. You know, do you want a 3-story apartment house there with more drug dealings going on? I mean, these businesses that go in there, they spend money on security and lighting and parking and management at all times of the day. It's not like a house you have no idea who's living there. I mean, let's just say if a Rite Aid went in there, they have management. They have checkbooks that can help the neighborhood, not hurt it. So at the end of the day, I think you're looking at this as you're encroaching on a neighborhood. I think it would make a great buffer. You know, and putting these locations together and making it, that's the new line facing Winchester Street. And the back side of it is facing a nice, cute neighborhood. It's not like we're trying to put up a monstrosity there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, yes, ma'am. Yep, come on.
My name is Patricia Wright. I live at 344 Pearl Street. I've lived in that house for over 60 years. When I first moved there, that whole area on Winchester Street, McDonald's, Walmart, everything was all field. I used to sit on my porch and see the fireflies in the summer. My kids would catch toads and snakes in the summertime. They played in the road. Now it is the most horrific place. And when we moved there, they put McDonald's in and they said that was the end, that the buffer was going to be on the properties that that the petitioner is trying to rezone. The buffer was that area. It's not going to be a buffer if it's on the corner across the street from my next door neighbor and from my house. And I am not happy about the fact that they're talking about putting something in there commercial. We have no idea what it's going to be, and I'm concerned about the lighting, the noise, the traffic, and not being able to walk up and down the street and not be able to have my kids bring children by and not have have problems with safety issues. I oppose it, and I'm going to oppose it until I can't anymore, but I'll be 82 in January, and after living there for 60-something years, I don't want something in my neighborhood that's going to destroy my personal life, and that's what I feel it will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I think we've pretty much had everyone in the room. Seeing no more hands and movement, I will close the public hearing. And I will reiterate what we'd said earlier about communications. They will be received by the city clerk until 1 p.m. on Tuesday, December 9th. All public comments, including those read into the evening, will be filed into the record as part of the public hearing. And this public hearing will be on the agenda for the December 12th Planning Licenses and Development Committee's agenda for their consideration. But no public testimony will be taken at that time. Yeah. That PLD meeting is December 10th. For clarity, if I didn't say that right the first time. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate the tenor and civility of your communications tonight. Thank you. A 5-minute recess? All right, we'll take a 5-minute recess as people depart. We need to keep plowing ahead here. No, thank you. Okay. Yeah. All right. We are moving on to item B1. B, it says B. Nominations, so I'll recognize the clerk to read our nominations right into the record tonight.
Certainly, we have received the following nominations from the mayor, and these are to reappoint folks that were eligible for renomination, a few people moving from alternate to regular slots, and so on. First is the Airport Development and Marketing Committee, and we have Peter Temple and Julie Scholzil, both being renominated in regular slots for terms to expire December 31, 2028. To the Ashwillet River Park Advisory Board, we have Arthur Windsor. He'll be moving from alternate to regular membership. And then we have Thomas Haynes, who's being renominated as an alternate, both with terms to expire December 31, 2028. To the Assessors Board, we have John Newcomb being renominated as a regular member, December 31, 2028. To the Bicycle Pedestrian Path Advisory Committee, we have Rowland Russell, renominated as a regular member. Charles Redfern moving from alternate to regular membership. Michael Davern moving from regular to alternate membership. Diana Duffy being renominated as an alternate. And finally, Andy Holt being renominated as an alternate, and they will all have terms to expire December 31, 2028. To the Building Board of Appeals, Corinne Park and Malcolm Katz, as well as Stephen Walsh, all being renominated as regular members. Corinne Park and Malcolm Katz for a term to expire December 31, 2028, and Stephen Walsh will expire December 31, 2027. To the Conservation Commission, we have Robert Milliken moving from alternate to regular membership. We have Stephen Bill being renominated as a regular member. Kenneth Bergman moving from alternate to regular. And Alexander Von Plinsky renominated as an alternate, and they will all have a term to expire December 31, 2028. For the Heritage Commission, we have Collie Powell moving from alternate member to regular with a term to expire December 31, 2028. To the Historic District Commission, Anthony Farantello, Sophia Cuna Vasconcelos, and Peter Panessa. Peter will be an alternate, all with terms to expire December 31, 2028. To the Housing Standards Board of Appeals, we have Corinne Park and Malcolm Katz, regular memberships with terms to expire December 31, 2028, and Stephen Walsh as a regular member, December 31, 2027. To the Keene Housing Commission, we have Cody Morrison renominated as a regular member for a term to expire December 31, 2030. To the Partner City Committee, John Mitchell renominated as a regular member. We have Andrew Madison moving from the counselor position to regular membership. We have Will Schaffman being renominated as a regular member. Doris McAllister also being renominated as a regular member. And Gerald Linz being renominated as a regular member as well. They will all have terms to expire December 31, 2028, with the exception of Ms. McAllister, whose term will expire in 2026.
And that
And I
wraps
think
it up.
that's it.
Yep. We'll refer these to the next council meeting. Table those, is the right terminology. Move on to B2.
And this is the confirmation of Marilyn Houston to serve on the Heritage Commission for a term to expire December 31, 2028.
Recognize Counselor Greenwald for a motion.
Move to confirm the nomination.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Bosley. Any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll?
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Favelis.
Yes.
Counselor Lake.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. We've already dealt with the communications. We have council reports and move to D1.
And our first report is from the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee, and it is a request for an access easement across city-owned land in the town of Swansea. And on a vote of 4-0, the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee recommends that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute and record a deed for a permanent access easement benefiting Public Service Company of New Hampshire, DBA Eversource Energy, across city-owned land in the town of Swansea.
Recognize Counselor Greenwald for a
Thank you,
motion.
Your Honor, move to carry out the intent of the committee report. Second.
Second by Counselor Filio. Counselor Greenwald for the
Thank you.
committee.
Thank you. This is a request coming to us to create an easement so that Eversource can access their transmission lines, which run from roughly Emerald Street south. And this involves at Airport Road. You may recall that's the Wild Bird Sanctuary viewing area. And nothing injurious, and the committee thought it was a good idea since it's basically being done, and this just memorializes it and makes it legal.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Bosley.
Yes.
Counselor Tobin.
Yes.
Counselor Remy.
Yes.
Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Favelis.
Yes.
Counselor Lake.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
Yes.
Moving to D2.
This is the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee report relative to a petition from Mike Pappas related to a request for the discontinuance and removal of sidewalk on the northerly side of Magnolia Way. And on a vote of 4-0, the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee recommends accepting the withdrawal from the petitioner.
Counselor Greenwald for the motion.
Thank you. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Filio. Counselor Greenwald?
It's a lengthy discussion, but it was worthwhile. Magnolia Way is off Winchester Street by Hampshire Lumber. You may remember this was a started and stalled development over the course of many years, which gets to the point where a sidewalk and road was put in prior to the houses. So a new developer came along, built the houses, quite nice houses, and it was discovered that it was discovered that the sidewalk really makes it very difficult on the side where the houses are. City code requires sidewalks, and there was a lot of discussion about it, and there will be a sidewalk coming along Winchester Street connecting to it. It's not just a useless sidewalk. So the petitioner came in with the whole petition asking that it be removed. We discussed the city code, and after a lot of discussion, there was the possibility offered by the petitioner, Mr. Pappas, to remove that sidewalk and put it on the other side of the road. And that may or may not happen, but at any rate, there's an acknowledgement that there will be a sidewalk. So it'll be up to the property owner to see whether the sidewalk is moved. If it is moved, it doesn't come back to us for any further discussion since it's just complying with city code. So the procedure that went on, he agreed to withdraw his petition, and we agreed. Done.
Any comments on this? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll?
Counselor Bosley.
Yes.
Counselor Tobin.
Yes.
Counselor Remy.
Yes.
Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Favelis.
Yes.
Counselor Lake.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne. Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
Yes.
The recommendation on the next 4 items is for the reports to be filed informational, and I'll ask the clerk to read all 4 together.
Certainly. So we have 4 reports coming out of the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee. The first is an update from the city engineer relating to the load limit postings of the Beaver Street and Spring Street bridges. The second, also from the engineer, is an update relating to the 2025 construction season and a 2026 construction season preview of upcoming projects. The third relates to a draft protection of streets ordinance submitted for consideration by the Public Works Director. And the final report is a downtown infrastructure project update from the Public Works Director.
Okay, Counselor Greenwald for a motion? They're just all informational. Never mind. We'll move on to the manager's report.
Just a few updates for you this evening. I want to share some positive feedback. It's nice when we get this. So right after the storm that we just recently had, the crossing guard at Wheelock School reached out to share the crosswalk on Marlborough Street had a big pile of snow where the children were crossing and getting onto the sidewalk. And she wanted to let us know that 2 city employees went way above the call of duty and stopped to clear the path for the children and their parents. Antonio and Dominic were so very gracious to stop on their way downtown and make the crosswalk safe. They wanted to acknowledge this kindness and help that was provided. And to make it even more amazing, she learned that they had been working for the past 24 hours straight dealing with the snowstorm. So kudos to the Public Works and the highway team. This first storm of the season was a significant one, and the team performed exceptionally well.
Bravo.
So a bit more recognition this evening. Our community, this time for our community development department. All 3 of our planning staff have just recently passed the American Institute of Certified Planners. This is a pretty extensive exam, and it's not often you have 3 planners that have passed this. The exam covers 9 major topic areas, and I just want to give just recognition to the planning department for going above and beyond to get that certification. You also probably saw some recent social media because we've been getting questions about the tax rate setting. And we are waiting. We are waiting for the Department of Revenue to set that tax rate for us. Everything on behalf of the city is in their hands, and we expect to hear back from them soon. And then it'll take just a few days for us to get the bills out the door. So we expect that will be soon. Also, this week, some of you attended, I know at least 2 city councilors attended, Councilor Haas and Councilor Favelis, the program called Aftermath. So this program is something that myself, Deputy City Manager Andy Bohannon, and Deputy City Manager Rebecca Landry saw at a recent, this past year, Managers Association meeting, and it's a very powerful segment. It's a play, and it is about the life of a firefighter and what happens in his life at both work and at home after responding to a very serious critical accident. Now, you can play this out for lots of different positions. You could play this out for the police officers responding. You could play this out really for any first responder. But the play goes into what happens after that. And then there's a question and answer period where you can talk about these issues. And so we had good attendance. I wish we had better attendance. I would have loved to see more of our first responders there. And hopefully the next time we bring something like this, we'll be able to attract more. But I want to thank Andy for bringing it here. He was moved by it and brought it to the community, and so thank you, Andy Bohannon, for doing that. I also just want to give you a quick update. We are currently interviewing for Nicole Howe's position, so for the executive assistant. We've got 6 interviews this week. We'll be wrapping up, which is nice to have multiple candidates. We're hoping that from that we'll get some finalists, and then the mayor will join us in the final interviews before hopefully we select someone. But Nicole has been amazing. So she was promoted and she's in the HR office, but she hasn't left us hanging. Half of the day is spent upstairs and half of the day is spent downstairs. And so she's been torn between the two, and I'm sure she'll be very happy when she only has one job. But once we hire someone, she's offered to also train them. So that's really helpful for the mayor and I. And I'm also in the midst of a background check for a finalist for the airport director. So hopefully at your next meeting, I will have an announcement on that as well. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Who are the 3 planners that,
Oh, I knew you're gonna say Mary, Megan, and Evan.
Evan.
Mary, Megan, and Evan.
great, okay, our main line?
Yeah, they're main, yeah.
Okay, we've got our city goals next in front of us. And I'll just, for the public's information, the goals that are coming forward tonight, presented by the manager, are the result of 2 workshops that the city council has held over the last month. Very helpful to have us review the progress made on these goals over the past year and 2, but also to be able to look forward to those things that we need to address in the coming next 2 years. So this is ready for a motion this evening, and I'll let the manager introduce that.
Yeah, we just, I have one change from the version that was uploaded in your packet. The College City Commission was listed under number 4, and it really should have been under, listed as part of number 3. Thank you for Councilor Fevelis pointing that out. So you have that revised version on your desk this evening. And as the mayor stated, this was a result of 2 workshops, one where we reviewed the progress over the last couple of years related to the city council goals, and then revising those goals. And really the goals, you still have the same 8 goals, but they have, of course, changed slightly to reflect the current situation. And the changes that was made at our second workshop have been incorporated, and so those are in blue on your printout. And basically, those are just items that give more direction related to the goal that it's placed under. And so we're looking for approval of this evening, and then we will begin our work on moving these forward as part of our budget and our capital planning efforts.
I'd like to recognize Councilor Greenwald for the motion.
Thank you. Move to adopt the city council goals for 2026 to 2027 as presented. Second.
And do note that that is the period that should be at the top of the page. So we'll call that a Scribner error note. Do we have a second on the floor? Seconded by Councilor Filio, and I see a hand up. Recognize.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next year, when we do this, or whenever we do this again, I'd like to see that we can find some kind of public input for it, get some kind of public workshop or whatever would be an appropriate format to get input from the public before we go into our own workshops. Thank you.
The advantage I think that we've had in this process is we just completed the master plan that had a significant amount of public input, so don't know if that source would be available 2 years from now, but we'll leave that for the manager and community development staff to find that mechanism. I also point out that during the budget process, the departmental review of their progress on their departmental goals touches on many of these things, and so we should be paying attention to that budget document and what the departments are putting into that relative to statistical analyses that they've provided. Any other comments, folks? Counselor Tobin.
I just wanted to say how much I appreciate all of the work that went into setting up the process so that we could have these conversations. I think for me it was really helpful hearing from people and just kind of being able to talk things through. So I really appreciated going through this process.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, seeing no further, yes, Counselor Remy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a copy of it, so I don't know how I'm not sure how I vote on something that's in front of you guys.
It's on the online packet, isn't it?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the response.
I'm without ability to comment on this, so.
Well, I do think it's in the online I do think it's in the online packet. Under, so after manager's comments, the only change is moving the City College Commission from item 4 to item 3.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Okay,
would,
that's
yeah.
That's right. I just didn't know what was in front of you guys as far as that piece. So it said something about highlighted blue. I didn't see that piece. So, okay.
Okay. All right, seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes. Oops.
Counselor Remy? I think I heard a yes.
Yeah, you get a yes.
Counselor,
I gave one.
thank you. Counselor Filio?
Yes again.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Favelis?
Yes.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to section G, we have in front of us some amendments that we'll take up in the future.
Yes, we have a memorandum from the planning board, and this relates to some proposed amendments to the planning board regulations and application procedures. At their meeting of November 24th, the planning board voted unanimously to refer the amended regulations to the city council for incorporation into chapter 100, the land development code of the city code of ordinances, pardon me.
And we'll file this report as informational. One ordinance for first reading tonight.
Yes, and this is the ordinance that is coming out of the planning board. This is coming in from senior planner Mary Bruner, and it relates to amendments to the planning board regulations and application procedures, ordinance O 2025-38. And they are requesting that the ordinance be referred to the Planning Licenses and Development Committee for review and recommendation. And we have ordinance O 2025-38, an ordinance relating to amendments to the planning board regulations and application procedures.
And that will be referred to planning licenses and development. No second reading ordinances for the evening, so we move on to one resolution that we'll read into the record.
Yes, and this is a communication from our senior planner relating to adopting the provisions of RSA 79E, Community Revitalization Tax Relief Incentive, Resolution R 2025-35. And the memorandum requests that the resolution be referred to the Planning Licenses and Development Committee for review and recommendation.
And that will be referred to a subsequent meeting. Of the Planning Licenses and Development Committee. Okay, we have reached the end of our agenda. I'll take a motion from Councilor Greenwald.
Because I want to, but move to go into non-public session to discuss legal matters pursuant to RSA 91A 3 to L and personnel matters pursuant to RSA 91A:3-2A.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Tobin. Roll call.
Counselor Bosley? Yes. Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Favelis?
Yes.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
And Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. We are now in non-public session.